Hi, I'm U.S. Senator Patty Murray. I was so honored and humbled to be named the chairman of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee earlier this year. As the daughter of a disabled World War II veteran, I know firsthand the service and sacrifice our military veterans and their families make for our country. I also know from watching my dad that veterans often don't want to draw attention to their needs or ask for help, which is why it's up to all of us to make sure they don't have to. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure we honor them with the services, benefits, and care, physical and emotional, they need when they come home. And I also know that all of us, from Congress to our local communities, can do a better job of honoring our nation's heroes. A few weeks back, I asked all of you to share some of your own ideas about how we can better serve our veterans. I've got a lot of ideas of my own, but I wanted your thoughts too. Well, I've just been overwhelmed by your response. So far, our pattymurray.com online community has sent in nearly 500 ideas of how to help our veterans, and you've cast more than 9,000 online votes on which suggestions you like best. You had so many great ideas that unfortunately I can't respond to each one individually, although my staff and I are reviewing them all. But today I'd like to take a few moments to respond to some of your top suggestions. One of our most popular suggestions came from Floyd, who wants me to reintroduce the Veteran Employment Assistance Act. As Floyd knows, our veterans have the skills and determination and talent to succeed in all kinds of jobs, but they often face unique challenges that translate into trouble finding a job or starting a business. That's why I introduced a bill last year to improve job training and placement services and address the skyrocketing unemployment rates among veterans. Floyd, I want you to know that I absolutely agree with you, and I'm working on a new and even more expansive version of that bill, which I hope to introduce in the next few months. Another popular suggestion, which several people submitted in different forms, was to improve health care for our veterans and their families and to reduce the backlog of claims. Well, I agree with all of you who voted for that suggestion. I'm very glad President Obama's proposed budget increases funding for veterans' health care, even in these difficult economic times. Our government has a solemn duty to care for those who served our nation, and mental wounds like PTSD must be treated with the same seriousness and attention as physical wounds of war. One of my priorities is to improve the VA benefits claims process so every veteran can access care and services without continuous delays. I'd also like to address a suggestion that came from N. Galloway, who wants to make sure we don't send troops to war unnecessarily, which was voted the most popular idea of all those submitted. As one of the 21 senators who voted against going to war in Iraq, I strongly agree with you, and I believe we must bring military operations in Afghanistan to a responsible conclusion. Military force should only be used as a last resort after all diplomatic, economic, and foreign policy options have been exhausted. Our men and women in uniform and their families deserve that. It's also the best approach for maintaining our national security, building relationships with our allies, and ensuring that we have the resources needed for our most pressing domestic priorities like education and worker training, health care, and transportation. But I have also always said that once our men and women in uniform are on the ground, I will support them in every way possible, both while they are serving abroad and when they return. Caring for our veterans is a cost of war. It's up to all of us to make sure we fulfill our duty to care for them. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to send me your ideas, as well as for reading, commenting, and voting on the suggestions of other concerned citizens. My staff and I will continue to review all of your ideas, so keep them coming. As chairman of the Senate VA Committee, I'm committed to fulfilling our nation's promise to our veterans and their families. We owe them more than thank yous. We owe them health care and benefits, housing, jobs, and much more. Please continue to offer your suggestions at pattymurray.com/veterans. Thank you again for sharing your ideas and helping all of us care for our veterans.